Is up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. My name's Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you, as always, to upgrade your skills before your gear. Now, this song is kind of slow, so I'm gonna be DJ Camera Junkie over here, and I'm gonna skip this track to try to see if we get something a little bit more lively. Didn't work. There we go. Smooth, but still, a little bit of uplifting vibes. Well, welcome. If it's your first time here, let me be the first to introduce myself. My name is Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie. If it is your first time here, please be sure to introduce yourself in the comments down below so you can get the nice Camera Junkie crew welcome. And as tradition goes around here, before I usually start messing around with the music, I always check to see who are the first members of the Camera Junkie crew to come in the chat to hang out with us. So let's go ahead and check that out. Where I lost my mouse cursor. Here we go. Boop. All right. And first we have Gretchen saying hi to the MCJ crew. Welcome as always. We also have Mr. Moderator Paul Duncan saying greetings. Yolanda's in the house saying hello, everyone. We also have Randy in the house saying hello to Paul and to everyone. How are you doing, Randy? Thank you for hanging out here as always. We got Kevin Cox as well saying hello to everyone. Randy saying hi to everyone, saying, better luck next year, so to speak, with the Ravens. We also, everybody's just saying hi to everybody. So we got Paul EC saying hello and what's up to everyone. And if you're here, then you can be part of this, fest of awesomeness that we got going on in this community here. See, Yolanda's responding, say hi, Randy. Yes, tough loss for us. Same for the Broncos next year for sure. Of course. It's like the percentage of winning a Super Bowl is so small. You understand? It really is. It's so small that's why it's held to such high regard if you ever are to accomplish it. Even in a team of 52 players, you understand, to be able to say that only 52 players get to raise that up, so to speak, every year is a hell of an accomplishment. Yes, and Kevin reminding me to remind you, has everyone hit the like button already? It's absolutely free and it goes a long way. It means everything to me as we rock out here. We also got Kathy sneaking in saying hello to everyone, saying go Eagles. All right, a little bit of like salt in the wound, but that's okay. She's going for the Eagles. I haven't really been keeping up on the NFL whatsoever, but what I have been keeping on is some cameras, and I recently got my hands on a new release from Viltrox, which is this microscopic, tiny little pancake lens. Now, it's already on the camera. It is a 4.5 aperture, and it's a fixed aperture, so it's not starts at 4.5. It is fixed at 4.5. Can't go, like more depth of field. You can't add that, you understand, but you also can't get more bokeh than the 4.5 that is giving you. But the amazing thing about this little lens right here is that it has autofocus. So you know what, let me see if I can get to this shot over here. Yep, this little guy right here, right, as you can see, is the Viltrox 28mm f4.5. And another cool feature is that it's got a built-in lens cap. So it being so compact, you also don't want to risk damaging the lens itself or the elements. So you have this little slider here that will then release the lens or open the cap, so to speak, and it keeps everything nice and tight. So extremely small. I'm going to disconnect it real quick to show you how small, because it is literally the size of a body cap itself. It's really impressive what Viltrox has been able to do, especially with the price tag that they allotted to this lens, because it's not APS-C, it is a full frame lens. And here I have it paired with my A7C Mark II. So this is giving you the equivalent of 28mm on a full frame sensor, and there's no cropping or crop factor necessary, right? It's 28 millimeters f 4.5, and I took this out and I started taking some photos with it, right? It is very small. I still am going to be honest with you. It's very impressive that it can do the full frame cameras, but those tend to be just also a little bit chunkier as well, right? So it will bring this down very compact, but at the same time, having the like chunk factor of this body itself, it doesn't hurt using a little bit of a bigger lens to kind of even things out. So I really enjoyed this, and I go back to it using it on my APS-C cameras and the NEX6 that I have. That's just the smallest and compact. It goes very, very well. And what I was impressed with was its autofocus feature, right? It is an autofocus lens, but it also works just as good for video as it does for photography. But I would still deem it more a photography focused lens because of the fact that you cannot adjust the aperture, right? And that's something that's very important when it comes to video, to control the exposure and the amount of light depending on the situation that you're in. And because this is fixed at 4.5, you would then have to adjust, you know, like the brightness or the overall image exposure by, you know, jacking up the shutter speed, right? And which is going to make the videos look bad, but then at the same time is something that's, you know, fairly common in photography. So when it comes to photography, being able to, you know, crank the shutter to get a proper exposure and then have an extremely sharp image just the same is pretty impressive. And once again, I said, for the price of this lens, it is almost like it's a really good deal. Now, the price is going for $100 even, like $99.99, and you can find that at pretty much any camera vendor. Even Amazon has these right now for $100. So get them where, you know, where you can find them, where it's most convenient to you, because it seems to be a pretty sought after lens. It wasn't the easiest thing to get my hands on, or to get to me, to better said. So I was surprisingly impressed with it, and have some JPEGs that I want to share with you that come straight out of the camera. So these images are basically just me hanging out with Aiden and taking a quick trip down the street last night. So I decided to put it through its paces, and like I said, last night, so I put it through the worst case scenario, 4.5 at night. Now, the first shot that I'm going to share with you is literally the first time that I put this lens on this camera, and I took off my other lens, which is the 24-50 that I have hung up over here now on my wall of cameras. So I literally just held out that lens that I took off of the camera and took a picture of it. And that's going to be pretty much the best illustration of the bokeh or bokeh that you're going to be able to get with this. And this is the whole thing, you know, when you create enough separation between your subject that you're photographing in focus and the background, giving it the most space, then you're not going to have a problem, because I've never had a problem with f4 creating that separation, especially when it comes to photography, right? In video, it's a little bit different, but in photography with raw files and everything like that, has never been an issue. Now, once again, I preface this with all of these images are JPEGs straight out of the camera. So now I'm going to try to share these with you, and we can go through them together. I just put them in a folder over here. Let me see. See about this right here. Okay. Okay, let me just bring this over here. Okay. All right, so that's what we're gonna rock. Pardon the mess. You see the monster can in the back. But once again, this is exactly what I was demonstrating, that this is just me taking a photo of my 24-50 lens. And you can see the blurry background, right? Like you can see what's going on. That is daylight coming in through the windows, and it was still able to expose the backlit sort of image fairly well. And what I'm really impressed with is just kind of like overall its sharpness. Now I'm zooming into this. Hopefully that's conveying. It absolutely is not. I'm zooming into the picture over here, but it's not doing the zoom for you guys. Okay. But we'll just work with it as is. Like, as you can see, coming out of the lens, right? Having this being the overall image, this is very, like, this is good enough, especially when what I'm thinking about this camera leads me more feeling to like quick snap, photography, and like street photography. That's where I see this lens really fits in well. It's got a good focal range for, I think, for street photography. It's wide enough at 28. It's like kind of the happy medium between 35 millimeter and 24. So the 28, and it being such a small little lens, it really is convenient to just add it to anything else. Now 28 on an APS-C is going to give you more like a 45 degree or 45 millimeter aspect ratio on the APS-Cs, which is also another favorite for street photography. So either way, whether you're using it as a full frame lens or as a APS-C lens, you're still gonna get pretty decent street photography ranges out of this lens. Excuse me. Sorry guys, little bit under the weather this week and my nose is running, so I'm gonna need to take care of that periodically. All right, feeling much better now. All right, and we continue. All right, so let's see the next photo. All right, we have Aiden just hanging out here, basically just getting him out of bed. But like I said, a quick snapshot photography. This is really sharp, right? This is like really good. Like, you can see the fine details, but you also get enough fall off, right? Just in the corners of his bed there, right? It's not the sharpest in the corners, but your subject matter is definitely going to be sharp enough. And when you're thinking of just snapshot photography, street photography, quick snap photography, and not have to overthink it, basically underthink it, this is a very good result. So what I'm most impressed with is its autofocus features, right? Excuse me. No, we got Aiden, with his eyes closed, getting me to yawn. But yeah, the autofocus features here are very snappy, and they're working well with the Sony system, which is to me one of the best. So it locks onto the eyes and gets very sharp images. And that's what I've been impressed with, seeming that I cannot stop it down to try to make him sharper, right? And this lens is pretty small, right? With that in mind, I still feel that this is doing a very good job with the overall sharpness of the image. See? Getting some images. I love this guy. This is my favorite person in the world. So if you're new here as well, just know that this is my son Aiden. He's my everything. He's my miracle man, and he's the reason why I do everything that I do. So I'm constantly taking photos of him. Most of them never see the light of day. They're mostly for me, and I love every single one of them. So this is just me testing out and taking some photos. Oh, this went vertical. But this is just me messing with this guy. But as you can see, like, I'm looking at his eyes, and the sharpest part of this image is his eyes. You can see all the specular highlights. You can see the lights, like in his left eye, or the eye to the left of us, which is his right eye. You can see like this triangular, like specular highlight, and it's there clear as day. You can see separation of eyelashes and eyebrow hairs. Like, it's hard to complain with this because I'm trying to find where it's having its faults, right? And its faults would be, longitudinal, or I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. But the color fringing, whether you're getting purple or greens between the loca and the foca, right? Yeah, something like that. The guys from from DP Reviewer always talking about that, right? So it's those the out of focus areas and how they're actually grabbing color. So I'm looking at the out of focus areas in the upper left hand part of the image and trying to see if there's like a distortion in the color, especially between the darks and the lights. So the little bars up to the left and where you would see it is in the change between the dark to the light, and that's where you would see either like a green fringe or a purple fringe when the lens is kind of like losing that the sharpness, so to speak, and the overall contrast of the image. And right now this is doing great from corner to corner, right? And that's what I'm seeing. Like, I'm trying to find these. That's not the best picture of Aiden, but I was just snapping away. He's happy. That's when he got up. I love this shot. He's just sneaking into it. And another thing about Aiden, he's getting a lot more curious with the camera. So I've been showing him like every time I take a photo of him, I show him the photo, and then especially start messing around with like the buttons, because he loves all the buttons in the back. This guy. All right, and this is my top part of my shelf, right? So this is my red camera, and there's a message back there. I don't know if Gretchen can see it, but she would know exactly what that is. So yeah, so this is my red-ish camera. It's my Nikon Z30 cage, but as you can see, I just threw the camera up top and just snapped a picture, and man, like, I can't complain whatsoever about the image quality. I'm really happy with the sharpness. It's not a soft image whatsoever, and it's giving enough fall off, right? Like, look at the road boxes behind, like on the wooden side to the right hand side on the shelf. Like, that's bokeh, right? That's blurriness, that's showing that fall off. And that's, like I said, this is a JPEG. This is straight out of the camera. All right, so let's continue here. See, this is the ZFC, and just you see with all the lights in the back that really gets blown up, but it's still giving you enough contrast, dead center. Where I was focusing on here mostly was the actual Nikon brand on the top part of the viewfinder, not the one on the front of the lens. So the closest to where the ZFC is, you can see that's very sharp, and we're already falling off towards the front of the lens where Nikon is repeated there in silver. And yet, you know, like, we're still getting a decent enough image. But these are still like shots that I was taking here in the house. So it wasn't showing, like I said, it wasn't showing much of what I wanted to see, how it was gonna do in the dark photos. So look, this is me hanging out with Aiden, and it focused on Aiden's eye. And if you look at Aiden's eye, man, that thing is crazy sharp. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think this is a really good deal when it comes to a lens. If you want a simple do-it-all lens, and like I said, it also has the capability of doing video. So it's giving you video autofocusing as well. And if you really want to keep things compact, this could be a very cool option. And the fact that it's at f4.5, here in South Florida, there's so much light, there's so much brightness. So, you know, you might be looking for something that keeps it a little bit darker without having to use NDs or cranking up your shutter, so to speak. Okay, so now this is nighttime. So you see we're hanging out in the car, and I'm trying to get Aiden to look at me, but still, this is only being lit by the LED lamp inside of my vehicle, which is why I said this is impressive, because this is nighttime photography. And I did slow down the shutter to like 1/30th of a second, and I think I increased the ISO sensitivity to 6400, right? But now, if I wouldn't have mentioned those things to you, I don't think you could have noticed that in this photo. right? It's kind of off to the corner right now, but right, I don't think you could notice that in this photo. That this was shot at 6400 ISO. This is Aiden messing around, trying to catch on to it, but yeah. And this is the whole thing, you know, a little blurry here, but this is working with the IBIS that's built into the camera. So this is handheld in the car. I actually like this picture. I get to see Aiden, like, this is how I see Aiden all the time, just hanging out with his iPad. God, I love that boy. All right. So now we're taking some photos of me just snapshotting outside of my windshield as we're driving. So this is a bit of slanted, you know, Dutch, what is it? A Dutch tilt. So it's a little off center, but like I said, this is handheld. This is coming down 441 or State Road 7 here in South Florida, near the Hard Rock Hotel, the Guitar Hotel, which is actually in the background towards the center. You can see that orange colorful blob. That's what we're driving to. And these are just snapshots. So you see this one's a bit blurry, but I think I was still running a slow shutter speed here. If you want to get sharper images while you're on the move, or that subject is on the move, you're going to want to increase the shutter speed so that you can get that image right on the spot. But once you increase the shutter speed, you're letting less light into the camera, which then could give you an overall darker exposed image, which might be harder to see. So that's why you're always playing this balancing game. And when you want a fast lens is because you'll be able to open up the aperture so wide that you'll be able to control the light more with the shutter speed and get a good clean overall image. But like, what I'm saying is that I'm not seeing a lot of digital noise either, right? I'm not seeing a lot of artifacting in these images. I could almost say that these look very film-esque, right? This looks like a digital grain that looks very much like an analog type film grain that you can get. And that's why I'm like really surprised. Like, I think I'm going to make a video on that. You know, we're getting to a point with these new lenses that are being replicated in the style of the old school lenses, but now applied to these new cameras, that you might not even need vintage lenses anymore. And that's where I kind of fall into it right now. Like, I have this for the Sony, which was the Photosay. This is a Photosay 35 millimeter right here, manual lens for the Sony E-mount. I think this is like a $60 lens, like $60 for this lens, and it could have been even cheaper because I've seen some that were like at $40 and $35. And the images that I'm getting out of this opens up to an f1.6. It's also very, very small, right? Not to get off subject, but this is a compact little lens. And if you're, you know, into the photography side for your own personal things, right, for your own, you know, personal hobby, like I am mostly, then this thing is right up your alley, especially for the price. And now you have something like this at $100 with autofocus and giving you these types of images. I don't see where we have to complain. I almost like don't think we're gonna need to go into like vintage style lenses anymore and go on the hunt for these lenses when you can just buy a Photosay and get the similar type of like imagery. So once again, like, these are all at f4.5, and I'm really impressed with how much light is actually coming in regardless, right? Like, things are starting to look really bright, and there's a couple of images that you'll see that like it's completely lit by the brake lights and everything is a crimson red. So this is just South Florida traffic. Okay, some of you might know what that is. That's a new Supra rolling around the streets of South Florida. And now we're entering what that says there, Seminole Indian Reservation, and you can see the Hard Rock Hotel just a little bit further down. and that's a bit of a better shot, but this is just me, like I said, snapping away to see which ones would be the best. Over to the right hand side, you can see the Indian Smoke Shop 2. This is something that's like prevalent in the Seminole areas, where you can buy cigarettes in bulk, so to speak, like buy the cartons to get them a lot cheaper. And the Indian reservations is where you would go get your cigarettes if that is your vice. But I grew up with a bunch of those little like smoke shops, and they're drive-throughs. That's the other funny thing. That's like a trip. So you just drive up, ask for your cigarette count, pay it there at a discount, and be on your merry way. And that has been part of South Florida and the Seminole area the entirety of my life and the experience here in South Florida. All right, this is the vertical of it. Now this is just some road signs telling you West Turnpike to 95. And once again, this is the Hard Rock Hotel. Just inching closer. So this is the stoplight right across the street. And this is what I was saying. Look, the taillights have covered everything to the point that couldn't get past them because of the light barrier. And then this is a better shot. You can see those lights coming directly off of the Hard Rock Hotel. Those reach to the infinity of the sky. It's pretty cool, and it's a beacon that we can see from pretty much anywhere in South Florida. That when those lights are on, you can know where you're at. I've had friends of mine who've gotten a bit more inebriated that they've wanted to in Fort Lauderdale, and then are taking a Uber home or something like that, and they're asking them like, where's your home? And they're like, just follow the light, because they literally live, you know, down the street from this. So it's pretty funny, but it is like one of South Florida's beacons. And when those lights are on, man, you can see them, you know, like you can see them lighting up the clouds from miles away. Like I see the lights from this building at my home every time I step outside, and I live miles away. I live closer. Well, I live on the county line, you know, of Broward and Broward and Miami-Dade. Literally called County Line Road, and just past that is where I stay. And then you can see these lights from just, it's a straight shot down the road. It's really cool. All right, let's see. And you see, this is the shot. This is another one of these cigarette shops, right? Like the ones that I just mentioned. But this is the one that I took the photo of. As you can see, all the palm trees are completely lit up in red by brake lights, because that's all you can see right now. But still, at the end of the day, these are all usable images, right? These are all able to convey the story of what my experience was in South Florida, you know, hanging out. This was probably, well, this, yeah, definitely one of the worst shots. But these are like the motorcycle groups. I don't want to call them gangs, because they're not really. They're just groups that go from restaurant to restaurant, and they, you know, pile up there, and, you know, it's just mostly a lot of revving engines and stuff like that. But they do this on the weekends. Actually, like there's a Hooters restaurant in Pembroke Pines that hosts a meetup every Wednesday. So kind of like Wednesdays to Saturdays is usually when you'll see things like this on the streets of South Florida. And this is just heading down Sterling Road. That was an ambulance I tried to take a snapshot of. This is the Home Depot. Well, a Home Depot in Davie. But I was really putting the camera to test. So these are shots that I like to take outside of my car door, because I'm able to roll the window down and let the lens and camera do everything. But it really puts everything to a test, right? Because I also snap a part of my side view mirror. And as you can see, the side view mirror has its own little imagery as well, and see how sharp that image gets by itself. But then it also gives you like an overview of everything else. And like I said, this isn't a bad shot, right? If this was something that I wanted to like display, it even has some overcast of like, you can see clouds, and that it was like kind of a cloudy night. So it's got, you know, like depth of field, not depth of field, dynamic range. Like it's utilizing the dynamic range well on this camera. And once again, I'm like really impressed with such a small lens. Now, this is the last photo that I have just hopping into this plaza. I needed to go to the Best Buy to exchange something. So as I was rolling over there, I just decided to take a picture of like, you know, the entire like sign of that plaza showing the Home Depot, Best Buy, so on and so forth. And like I said, like this is very usable. Like it's sharp end to end. I'm not seeing like any color distortions, fall offs, things like that. And these are all usable images. So I would like to get your opinions on it as well. I wanted to share this with you because, you know, I've used a lot of these lenses lately. I got the ones that are like just I got this one. This is the 6.3, but because it's not autofocus, it's just a little bit slower. And then this one, which is straight like a disposable lens camera or disposable camera lens put onto a body cap to give you kind of the same aspect. And even though they work well, I'm really impressed with the overall results that I've gotten out of this Viltrox 4.5. I'm not sure if it is the autofocus that's just making it a little bit easier to get images like this, but at the end of the day, the results is what you have to go by. And I do like, you know, these types of lenses like this because they open to an f1.6 aperture, and that's like amazing to get the like cleanest image that you can get for your photos, right? To get a fast lens like this for the price. But I must say that this one has impressed me more than I thought it would, with the fact that it's been so snappy and convenient, like lightweight and easy to use. So for the price, I think this is just a no-brainer if you're anyone like me, camera junkie, who's looking to get like a variety of different lenses. And lately I've been on this really flat lens, you know, convenience kick, and this one really fits the bill. So that's my 2 cents on the Viltrox 28mm f4.5. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I can't wait to hear what you think of these images and the quality that we're getting out of such a small and tiny lens. So let's go back to the chat to see what you guys thought of this. All right. Let's see where we're at here. Okay, so we're still talking Eagles and, you know, go Niners. It says practicing for next year, says fall. That's funny. So Kevin says about this lens that this thing is thin. It really is. It's right up there. And you know what? Let me go ahead and put a cap on here to compare to the others. So I'm just putting its body cap back on. And like I said, because it's got a built-in lens cap, it's already down to its smallest form. So that is it, right? And if we get my, I have it here somewhere, right? There we go. Digital caliper. .5 millimeters with the cap part. Now, this is the crazy thing. If I would say there's any negative, which it really isn't a negative, I'm just really nitpicking on this lens, is that the little button to open and close the lens cap, right? It protrudes a little bit higher than the rest of the lens. Now, if that would have been flush, I wouldn't have nothing to complain, because when I do have this on there and it like I just put it face down, I would like it to be flat, but it like pivots and it's just like rotating on that because it's the like highest point, and then it makes the camera like slide a little bit easier because that's the only point of friction. So that's the only thing. It's not, it's, you know, first world complaint, so to speak, but that would be the only thing, you know, like if it was really, you know, if it was really irking me, you know, you would just take like a Dremel and just make that flush and you'd be good to go. But I wouldn't do that to this lens. It's just too good, and that's just being nitpicky. But compare this to like my Asti Hori, right? So we're right there at the same size, I think. And it's even smaller, or thinner, better said, than the disposable one, which is like, I think it was a $30 lens. There's really nothing to this. It's literally just a body cap and the little lens on there. No autofocus, no nothing, just snap away. Impressive that it works, super cool, but I'm really impressed with what I'm getting out of this lens, and I just keep repeating that. So Randy says lens cap size, yeah, body cap size, like there's not much difference to what we're seeing here, right? Then if I were to just add, and it looks good, man. I don't know if it's like the series of the concentric rings right there, right? But it looks good. I like it. Kevin says, as Doc Rod would say, get them where your lens getting is got. Yeah, that's good. Hey, Carlos is in the house saying, hey, everyone. Hope all is well. Likewise, wish you all the best over there in Cali. We got Parker Jennings in the house saying, what's up to everyone? Gretchen saying, Aiden, cute pictures. Thank you. Those are my favorite. Says, love to see him looking so happy. That's my main thing in life, man. If he's got a smile, then life is good. You know, there's some times where Aiden wakes up and, you know, like he's non-verbal, so he can't tell me exactly what it is, but he's just having like a not so good day. You know, he just wants to be like held and coddled, and I have to do that, right? I have to just cater to his needs and just wonder what it is that's got him feeling a little blue that day or whatever, and just try to make it better. So, you know, even he has a little bit of his mood swings, but, you know, 99% of the time he's in a good mood, and I try my best to do that, to keep him that way, as always. It says, yes, see it. So these remind me of almost disposable camera style. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like point and shoot disposable camera, easy. You're not thinking too much, and I'm just like snapping away. That's exactly the category that I fill this camera in. And I'll tell you the truth, that's what I've been shooting a lot more of lately, right? Just these, you know, hyper personal images, right? For me, of just like I said, Aiden within the sheets, right? Just like waking up early in the morning and I'm still catching him with a little, like, you know, crust on his lip. Those are my favorite shots, right? Because that's how he is. And, you know, I was mentioning to someone the other day, like my favorite part of like mornings sometimes, right, is when sometimes Aiden is like just on the brink of waking up, right, where he's kind of still in dream world and waking up land, so to speak, and he just starts laughing. He just starts laughing like if somebody's tickling him, and he is giggling, and he's got his eyes closed, and he's off in a dream, and all I can do is, you know, try to wonder what it is that he's dreaming of, and hope in one way or another that I'm part of that, right? That I'm part of what makes him happy, and that's what I get out of it. So those where you see a lot of these photos that I take in the morning with little crustiness on his lip is because I want to capture that memory of what he's done for me. So that's my man. Paul is agreeing with Kevin. Randy says, with the f4.5 aperture, I used the exposure compensation -2 to get rid of the flaring. Great lens, but still want a manual focusing ring. It could have been good, but in that aspect, that's why I said that there are other lenses like the ones that I had mentioned where it gives you that, like the Asti Hori definitely gives you the focusing aspect. But what I've also noticed on that one is that I kind of like go to infinity, bring it down a couple feet, right? And everything is in focus after that point. So there's really no need for that focus ring once you get it to where you want it. That was really good. I don't know why, but it like tasted extra good right there. That's dangerous. Okay. Kevin says, do they have ATVs or dirt bikes with them? Many times they. You that crew of the motorcycles is just motorcycles, and there is a difference. So we see them both. So the ones that I mentioned of the camera crews, what is going on? We got a party in the back. I like those lights because they're old school, right? You get to like just smack them around to get them to work. More things need to work like that, like the old TVs, right? Where you just get to let out some of your aggressions and get it to work. Win-win. All right. Going back to it, the groups that I had mentioned that meet up at the Hooters in Pembroke Pines on Wednesdays, and that's all like GT type style bikes, right? So you're talking about like Ninjas, Kawasaki's, CBRs, crotch rockets, so to speak, all the fast ones. And that's the group that you will see at the red lights just revving away, going just going 1200 RPMs on these like 4-cylinder sport bikes. That's what I was taking photos of. Now, the ATVs and the dirt bikes, that's a completely different thing, and you see them just the same, but those could just happen at any time. Mostly the weekends, right? Where you see, and those I would call those more like gangs than the crews, so to speak, because those they really don't care whatsoever. Those guys are just going everywhere. They're going against traffic. They're disrupting traffic. Right, they're disrupting traffic 100%. It's just like we just let it happen. It's almost like a storm, right? They come, they're not following any of the rules. All you have to do is just make sure that you don't hit them. But it tends to be kind of hard sometimes because they don't stick to a group. So let's say you were at a red light, like I had just shown in those photos, right? When the ATV groups, right, with the dirt bikes and everything show up, they consume the cross street, so to speak. They consume everything. They're on the sidewalks, they're in the oncoming traffic, they're in the going traffic, they're in the center. They start doing circles. They're not paying attention to any of the lights whatsoever. They're just doing their thing, and it's like a locust almost that just hovers around that red light for a couple minutes and then just disperses. And that's my best explanation of it. Like, they've never done anything to me, so to speak, besides being a nuisance, right? Of just being like, guys, the lights are green and you're not paying attention, and now we have to wait another like light cycle, so to speak, before we get our turn signal or get to go, because you guys are just monkeying around and taking up all the space. So that's basically the differences. The ones that I took photos of, those are the crews. Those are just way more like civil, so to speak. They're just traveling from one location to the other, and most likely they were gonna end up like at a Wawa gas station or something like that, just to hang out and talk shop. So that's the difference there. Kathy says, nice shots. Indoor photos of Aiden are great. Thank you. Says, love those nighttime car photos of Aiden. I think they came out really good, and that's the whole thing with me with lenses, right? Once like a lens is able to produce an image that just like penetrates everything and gets right to the heartstring, so to speak, it just then has a special place in my heart, so to speak. And I'm like, okay, this definitely is of good enough quality to get you an image that can be sentimental to you. And with that means that pretty much every lens is worth it, right? That's a good way of hyping myself up into like not feeling guilty for buying all of these lenses. Says, did I test with video? I did test with video, but I didn't pull out any of those whatsoever. That's why I said I was impressed with the video, but I didn't make any videos that were worth sharing. It was literally like just testing here, and there was so much noise in the background, not even worth it. And Randy he concurs with what I said. It works great with video, and it does. Like I said, it's just giving me no issue. Sammy Superstar in the house saying, "Hey everyone, how are you doing, Sammy? Welcome, welcome." Okay, we have Mike Manifestation Podcast said, "What's up, Lewis? How are you doing, bro?" I'm doing good, but I'm not sure exactly who this is. Let me know if this is someone that I met at Podfest, right? Or give me your name so that I can actually, address you correctly. So, Mike Manifestation Podcast. Kevin says, yes, we have all the time here. All bets are off when it comes to the rules. It's almost complete lawlessness. Wow. That's so interesting to know. Good luck, fellas. We also have Scott in the house saying hello to the crew. Well, while I wait on Mike Manifestation Podcast to let me know their name, I'm going to go ahead. Okay, so yes, it says for sure it's Ben. All right, cool. How you doing, Ben? There you go. Super cool to have you here on the live stream. Welcome. This is episode 217. So yes, that's 217 consecutive episodes. But before we get into that, we're going to do what's next right here. Oh, let me get that. There we go. Cities Gaw, which is channels that I think you should go and watch. And now I need to bring up that page because we're talking photography, right? So when it comes to photography, I also wanted to share someone that is a amazing street photographer. Let me see. There we go. Bam. Boom. Pierre T. Lambert. Now, this is someone that I followed for a long time. So if you haven't been aware, let me be the first to introduce you to Mr. Pierre T. Lambert. Frenchman, so there is a bit of an accent, but he does a lot of first person view street photography. So he's got some videos on here that are hour long of just like the GoPro on his chest, and you're just seeing him go through the motions, take the photos while he's on the street, and then he shows you a quick snap of what he actually got out of that photo, in real time. So it's a really cool way of experiencing street photography in a third person type of view, right? But almost in a first person experience. So you can just watch his videos and just pick up little habits and tips and tricks that he is doing to just better up or level up his photography. And he's, to me, one of the best street photographers out there, especially one that's sharing it with you. So just scrolling through his stuff right here real quick, you can see he's got a variety of different photos, showing you a variety of different things. He's a genuine camera junkie. I believe he still shoots Sony, but he's jumped from a variety of different brands. So his content is not based around the gear, is based about the experience, which is what I really like to, get or pick his brain or his content for that aspect. So if you haven't heard of him before, let me be the one to share with you Mr. Pierre T. Lambert, this week's Cities Gaw channels that I think you should go and watch. And that's how we do it. Bam. Bam. So everyone, we have done it. As always, let's go ahead and hit some air horns. No, that wasn't it. There we go. Some air horns. Everyone, we did it. This is episode 217. That is 217 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream without skipping a beat. That is over 2 years of this thing happening. And the reason why is because of you guys. You guys make this my favorite place to hang out week in and week out. The Camera Junkie live stream, where I get to nerd out just a little bit about cameras, photography, lenses, and everything YouTube content creation. So if you're interested to know a little bit more about this, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss it. You might even want to put it on your calendar, because this is a thing that tends to just keep rolling no matter what. And like last week that I was on the road in Orlando, I still did a stream, though it being a little bit late. I still did it on the road from the hotel room, and I I'm telling you guys that I was exhausted, but you guys also made it like super cool to hang out because, like I mentioned, you guys are what make this community thrive. I learn from you just as much as you guys learn from me. So I thank you all as always for hanging out here with me. So until next week, right? Like I said, mark it down on your calendars, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Camera Junkie YouTube channel. So I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces. Actually, rewind that, say, take care of yourselves and each other. And I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces as we do it all over again right here. Same time, same place next week. So until then, yeah, that's it. I think I got everything. Oh no, let's do the thing that I've been missing a little bit, which is housekeeping, right? If you haven't heard of it already and you're wondering how is it that I'm having such a beautiful sounding and beautiful looking microphone, don't make sure to get your dock pops real quick as well. If you're looking to learn editing in Final Cut Pro, please be sure to check out my man's course here. You should go from zero to hero in just about 2 weeks with this course if you want to learn Final Cut Pro. And if you're wondering how I'm pushing all of these buttons and making all of this look so smooth and easy, it's by the one and only Ecamm. So make sure that if you're looking to get Ecamm for yourself, use my link down below. It won't cost you a thing extra, but it does help me out as a content creator. And that's where we'll finish it. So wrapping it back over again, being very Puerto Rican, having to say bye more than once to actually say bye. This is the last time for this week. So guys, take care of yourselves and each other. And I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces right here next week while we do it all over again. And until then, talk to you.